Alright, good evening folks. This is James Johnson. I'm here again with episode 8 of my Let's Play tutorial series. We're currently Queen Guinevere the Merry of Camelot. And I've recently gone into the business focus. I'm gonna go ahead and let this time start moving here. Well, it would seem that I'm sick of always being kind to everyone. Uh-oh, it's time to feel my wrath. I'm gonna lose the trait kind. So I've been a bit busy the last couple of days and actually haven't recorded any videos. I hope I haven't disappointed any of my following. But, honestly, I don't think anyone noticed. I don't really have a following yet. My 4 subscribers, of which I talk to most of them on TeamSpeak on a daily basis, they likely didn't notice. But maybe someday somebody will. Anyway, I have to assign some education focuses here to Bedivere. And of course, he's going to be given a martial education, as every proper Welsh man should. So I obviously need to become the Queen of Wales. I think that's my current ambition. And indeed it is. What's this? We request that you honor your obligation and answer this call to arms against Wigbert of the Mercian Revolt. I don't see any issues with this. Who is Wigbert? He's House Wiglafing, huh? He's a possessed, slothful character. Sure, let's do it. Do I actually raise my troops? Yeah, why not? Get this over with as quickly as possible. I'm starting to think Argod might fancy me, my 54-year-old spy master. No, he's not my type. Alright, so we're getting a little bit of cash. I assume I'm still building up my monetary base, as it looks. Do I currently have a truce with this guy? Oh, gained stressed. It's one of the drawbacks to taking the business focus is you will end up stressed, usually after any period of time. So I've actually been playing a multiplayer Crusader Kings 2 game with several other players, and I started in Wales during that game as well. So I find a little bit of bleed over between the two games, trying to keep them separated in my mind. That I'm not trying to accomplish something I think I'm doing in the other game and vice versa. I'm fatigued. I do have a doctor, right? Gout. No, I don't want to have gout. Spicy foods. Not sure that did anything. I'm only 28. Cancer, huh? Alright, so I took legalism here on my cultural tech. Reason for that is that legalism leads to different levels of centralization. So this legalism 2 unlocks medium centralization and the religious control mandate. This is useful for me to increase the size of my demes. I want to be able to control as many titles personally as possible, which then later on makes it easier for me to have vassals underneath me. Because you want to basically have a far stronger army than the dukes or whatever vassals you keep under yourself, so that if they do get rowdy or decide to revolt, you can put that revolt down without any issues, because your army is so much larger than your vassals underneath you. So legalism, going down this line, unlocks laws, and laws are ways in which I can basically enforce my will over my vassals. And so this is my main focus in the culture tree, is I'll get up to right about here. These next two are really more for emperors, so they're not as important to me. And then I'll start maybe looking at either majesty or tolerance, depending on how religious and culturally diverse I get. If I'm pretty much all Welsh and all Catholic, I'm not exactly diverse, and I don't really need to become tolerant, whereas magistry will be far more useful to me to increase my score through the end of the game. Alright, I feel better from that treatment. Thank goodness. Children lack childhood's focus. Again, another Welsh male. Must be the struggle focus. Alright, the Mercian revolt for Altherod's claim on Mercia has ended with a white peace. All that for nothing, huh? So, I don't know how many Paradox fans I have watching, but on a different note, this doesn't really apply to Crusader Kings. It applies to another Stellaris game known as Stellaris. Did I just say... Anyway, another Paradox game called Stellaris. I just saw some interesting patch notes that they're going to change over how they're doing borders in the game. So now you're basically going to be taking over each system with an outpost / starbase, instead of having a magical influence line being drawn through the galaxy, so that, you know, if you happen to have a planet nearby, you claim X amount of area based off of influence. And personally, I love the sounds of the changes. Actually, greatly looking forward to the changes, as I think it's going to be a huge improvement to Stellaris. Alright, I'm giving 50 of my gold over to an investment. Hopefully that pans out. And then I'm needing to replace my Marshal. What I am noticing here is that the next best Marshal in line is my King. Now, I explained earlier how State Marshal is figured out. So, half of your spouse's skills plus your Marshal skills plus your own skills. If your spouse is also your Marshal, it doesn't count it twice. So one of the worst things you can do is to make your husband the Marshal. So somebody would be inclined to do this, but they'd be getting less, as if I was to assign this guy. I would get far more. But I'm just going to go look for a different Marshal. So we'll invite that guy to court. And he will become my new Marshal when he arrives. let's remind us of who we're all aligned with. We're aligned with the Petty King of Mercia. We have a non-aggression pact with Wessex. So Wessex and Mercia. And Northumbria has been fighting amongst itself this entire time, if I remember. France is all kinds of hodgepodge still, which is fine. Italy is going through revolts. Byzantines are revolting. Got some interesting stuff happening down here. The Umayyads have been eating up their neighbors, it looks like. Oh, we even have an Abbasid revolt. So most of the world is revolting right now. Except for Denmark, which seems to be unifying Scandinavia, which is probably not going to last long. Or it could. He doesn't have any kids yet, but I'm sure that will change. He does. But he died. Okay. So the one positive and negative all at the same time of Denmark becoming a big unifying force over here is that the Viking landing that they could do would probably be a pretty strong one. Maybe enough troops that I couldn't really repel it. Granted, they might come more infrequently as there's not so many different Viking tribes running around raiding. That was a slight mistake. Why is this a slight mistake? Why don't you want your money to get this though? Well, I'm in the middle of trying to fabricate a claim here. And part of fabricating a claim does require money and or prestige to make the fabrication happen. And I don't necessarily want to take out a loan just to fabricate a claim. But at this point in time, if the fabrication went through, I would have to take out that loan. So, if you're fabricating, try to keep at least, like 100 gold in the coffers in case your fabrication goes through. So when I do get the fabrication here and I take this particular province away from the Duke of Debarth, it's going to give me the ability to usurp his title. I have no intentions of usurping his title. So I could, and then that would give me a Casus Spellum to basically add him as a vassal. I don't really want him as a vassal, he doesn't like me. Whoa. And I have the Jaames space to occupy that county on my own. So what I will end up doing is leaving him keep the Duke title, and then when I do take this away from him, that Duke title will end up getting destroyed. And then I can throw earls into these counties at my leisure, and they will have no malice towards wanting to be the Duke, because the Duke title will not exist. And I'll also have no malice towards destroying the Duke title, because I will not have destroyed it. I will simply have not created it. Spy Master, my court physician or Spy Master. That would be interesting, but no. Okay, this guy's younger. It's not as good, but he does like me a little more. This guy's a genius. Is he married? He doesn't look married. He's an heir to a bishopric. He's an heir to a chiefdom. Is he married? Yes. Well, I'm going to take him anyway because he likes me a little more, and I like to have spy masters that have a better opinion of me. So I'm looking at the possibility of maybe replacing my court physician, because I noticed that he was a drunk. And I don't really want a drunk court physician working on me if my life's in jeopardy. But none of these guys are renowned physicians. This guy's a mystic. However, he's also blind, so I don't know if I want a blind person working on me. This guy's got 27 learning. That's a lot of learning. Very interested in maybe attempting to procure this guy here. He is sadly celibate. I keep looking at this genius trait because if I could get him to have some kids, there's a good chance he could pass on his genius trait. He's one-eyed, so limited depth perception, but that's better than being completely blind. I think I'm just gonna... He's a drunkard too, so I don't want him. I think I'm just gonna stick with the guy I have. a small issue here. My current heir, Uther, he's not got the right childhood traits for a martial education. I would like him to have a martial education, however, that's probably not going to end up working out so well. It could. She would be a better influence along the stewardship line. I think I'm going to send him stewardship. Not always my first choice. Usually my first choice is to go the martial line. Hedge knights, they always get hurt. Every single time. The annoying nuisances here. So that guy will probably die in my dungeon. I typically don't release Vikings. Alright, the business was a success. Good deal. That's one of the minor events in the business line. The major event is setting up a trade route. That's pretty much the event I'm hoping will spark here in the near future, which it probably will. Actually, the more money that you keep in the bank, the more likely that one will spark. So Merlin has more of the traits that I think would lead to be a better heir, though Uther has not really come of age yet to know how well he's going to be. Okay, so I could gain health, lose the diligent trait, and possibly lose stressed. Which, I'm suffering from cancer, and I have stressed. It's not a good combination for my lifespan. But I don't necessarily want to lose diligent. So I'm just gonna roll the dice and hope I don't die. So he's already deceitful, which is not a trait I'm a big fan of. There's some players that like to play the intrigue game, in which case I actually like Deceitful, but for me, I'm not a fan of intrigue. I don't necessarily like to have my commanders be craven. It's not exactly a good trait for them, as you can see. But there is a fairly decent chance that during battle they might spark an event that will cause them to lose craven. He's also a dynasty member, so I do tend to be a little more lenient on my dynasty members towards making them commanders. This -4 health is concerning me. I'm really thinking I should change my heir to Merlin, because I kind of think Merlin's going to be the better heir. But I don't generally like to make that type of heir change until he's actually grown up, to see just if he's not really that great or not, and then I make the choice. But I don't know if I'm going to make it 3 years to see him grow up. Alright, where's the invite to court button? What have I done wrong? Ah, he's gone. No. So I'm looking at mystics, and there seems to only be one available. Kind of want a mystical doctor to possibly cure me of cancer. The heck, I'm gonna give it a try. I already had a mystic here, though he is nowhere near as good. Since I'm preparing to try something experimental, and I have a feeling I could have a good chance of dying, he ended up stubborn with that trait. Damn it. Really? So this is an interesting event. Basically, this is debasing the mint, or using lesser metals in your coinage to make money. If I do debase the mint, I will gain 100 gold, and I'll gain 100 prestige. I'll get a possible chance at becoming greedy, which greedy isn't a horrible trait. It does give you a tax modifier while taking away a little bit of diplomacy. But it is a negative trait, and I tend to try to avoid negative traits if I can. But also, well, it will give me greedy for sure. It's the deceitful that you have a 25% chance of getting, and I don't really want to become deceitful. Do I really need the gold? It would definitely be useful to start getting my stuff up and running. The trick here is if you debase the mint, you want to change your focus, your business focus as soon as you can, and I can change a new focus. So I could grab this real fast, get my 100 gold and my 100 prestige, pick up greedy, which is a semi-neutral trait. It's not horrible, it's not bad. Possibly get deceitful, which is something I could live with if it does happen, for 100 gold and 100 prestige. Then you switch the trait out, pick something else out. And the reason you do that is because there's a follow-up event. And if you're continuing on the business focus, that follow-up event could come along that basically says, hey, your people figured out what you did, and then you take a big prestige hit. So that 100 prestige you got, now it ends up you lose like 200 prestige or something, or 400. So you end up losing prestige. But you don't take a hit to the gold. So what ends up happening is you lose prestige, but you get some gold. In the long run, if you continue to stay on the business focus and that follow-up event happens. Sometimes that follow event doesn't happen. Sometimes you could get this particular event 3 or 4 times. And so now you're up to 400 gold, 400 prestige, and then you'll get the event that says, hey, we figured out what you've been doing, you've been debasing the mint, and then you take that prestige hit. So it's basically RNG as to whether or not that follow-up event will happen. So this is an event that can get you a pretty decent amount of money rather quickly, and if you're desperate for gold, it's a good event to go after. And even if you're desperate for a little bit of prestige gain, it's not a bad event to go after. I went with the business focus because I wanted to get the trade event to happen. But I'm kind of dying here. I've got cancer and I've got stressed. These are both, that's -4 health. I'm concerned with my health right now. I can change my focus and go to a hunting focus to prolong my life, and really I'm thinking that's what I need to do, is switch over to a hunting focus, get myself a dog, and then the hunting focus itself, those two things will help offset these things. I can also lose stress through the hunting focus. So I'm going to take this particular short-term gain event, roll the dice that I don't get deceitful, and switch out my focus to avoid this backfiring. Okay, so it looks like I did not become deceitful, but I did indeed become greedy. So I'm going to switch out to the hunting focus. That will offset my health loss of -4 to -3 because I'm getting health from hunting focus. This lasts till 8:07, where this lasts till 8:04. So I'll go with the one that lasts longer. Alright, I've got enough extra money right now that I can upgrade one of these castle crowns. Whoa, what's going on here? The Holy Roman Empire. Since the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476, the Emperor of Byzantium has been the sole claimant to the heritage of the Caesars. There has always been a rift between the Greek and Latin worlds, not least in matter of the Church. The popes in Rome have for a long time made their own policies, refusing to accept Byzantine supremacy and denying the emperor in Constantinople would hold a legitimate claim to authority over Christendom. Robert Carling has now been crowned Holy Roman Emperor by the Pope Hadrianus, invoking the Translatio Imperii and restoring the Western Roman Empire. This perhaps signifies a new era in the history of Europe, and is definitely a confirmation of the long-standing rift between the East and West. Wow. What is that? You know, I don't think I've ever seen a Holy Roman Empire of this, well, bizarre look to it. That is most interesting. Poland, Bohemia, Moravia, Bavaria, all these places you're used to seeing in the Holy Roman Empire are not in it. Middle Francia, which is, or East Francia, I think is Germany, and Middle Francia is, oh, I forget what Middle Francia is. But yeah, this seems kind of like a backwards Holy Roman Empire right now. But that's interesting. Every game you see, things turn out a little differently. And here's another one of those examples. We have a Castile. Well, that's interesting. Alright, I'm seeking treatment for my illness. So I'm gonna go with the I trust your knowledge, O wise one, and perform the mystical treatment. Let's hope this turns out well. Wilhelm told you that the Blessed Virgin demands a trial of your mind. Together you travel until you reach a small lake. Hand in hand, you walk into the water. You were shocked when Wilhelm grabbed you by the shoulder and held you down. What was that? I could have died, Wilhelm. Queen Guinevere the Mary gets mystically altered until 15 August, giving the following effects. -1 health. Traitor gains a trait paranoid. Wow, that kind of backfired, huh? So, yeah, let's lock him up. How dare he attempt to do that to me? In fact, he's so insignificant, nobody will care that I'm gonna off him. So I need a new court physician. Husband. Yeah, I'm with husband, I'm with child. Yeah, that's funny. Suppose I should go tell my child that I'm with husband. Duty. $5 years to get through that. Well, I guess it's Uther's turn to rule. My life is in your hands. Let's try something experimental here and see what happens, shall we? And it backfired. I lost my prestige. I will not lie to you, my lady. This will be excruciatingly painful, but it must be done. You tried to protest when Sanguine brought out the saw, but due to the calming potion he had made you drink, you slurred the words beyond comprehension. The treatment was successful, but I paid a heavy price. You will be cured of your disease, and you will gain the trait one-legged, and the trait severely injured. So, health will be -2, and no longer dying of cancer. Cut my leg off while I was pregnant. Quite a doctor. Quite a doctor. So out hunting I shall go with one leg while I'm pregnant. Your friend, Chief Villain, has sent you a gift, a small puppy of the finest pedigree, destined to grow into a great hunting dog. Why, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Thank you. I shall name it Hunter. So now I have 2 health to offset the 2 health, which means I'm only 1 health down from stressed. Queen Guinevere, the merry, one-legged hunting queen. Oh, and now I'm thinking about the prisoners in my dungeon. Do I want to become a torturer? No, I'll resist the foul impulses. A fortune builder, huh? Melisande, I like that name. Okay. She is not very good. He is not very good. Alright, let's let the marriage happen here. Satisfied with Uther. With only 12 stewardship and 7 martial. And 11 martial and 7 stewardship. You know, while they have decent traits, he's got deceitful. Fortune builder isn't horrid, but it's not great. Tough soldier is almost bottom tier. No, not happy with that union, really. So Merlin is not betrothed to anyone, so that's a benefit there. So when he grows up, I'll be able to pick any wife I want, which is in and of itself a step up from Uther. Your dog is growing quickly and no longer a little puppy. He runs fast, has a keen nose, and your dog handlers praise his good character. Well, good dog. My wound from your maiming is completely healed. Yay, I'm now scarred. And cruel, while they will enhance some aspects of combat ability. Wrath will obviously raise my martial skill +3, and cruel obviously gives me a morale damage buff. These are both actually negative traits. Sure, you get the extra martial skill, but Wrath leads to reckless charges, and reckless charges are a tactic that gets your troops killed by your own troops. So your cavalry will end up running over your skirmishers and stuff of that nature. So I don't want to take this option. I don't like these traits. So Merlin must learn on his own. With that being said, we're heading off on a hunt to find the great white stag. Our queen, Guinevere, is now onto hunting focus. She's managed to get through a bout of cancer and almost being drowned by a mystical doctor. She's a little stressed out, but other than that, looks like she's going to be okay for some time period. So I think we dodged a bullet, and she might grow old. With that being said, our first son didn't turn out that well. Second son still has a possibility of being decent. We're gonna stop the episode here. This will be episode 8. Hopefully it wasn't completely boring. Maybe you learned a thing or two. Maybe you didn't. I don't think this episode taught a whole heck of a lot of anything. But it's definitely a Let's Play. And so, in the next episode, maybe we will advance a little more on our ambitions of becoming the Queen of Wales. Until then, enjoy yourselves. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and or subscribe. And until the next episode, have a great day.